Hi, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter from Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation, Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. And every week I do a question and answer article. And I hope that you're taking time to go over and read it and read all the questions that people send in emails. If I get multiple questions on the same subject, I usually just pick one of them that is maybe the best written and address it. But I also each week come and do a video for you, a podcast, maybe some questions that did not make it. And I want to address the first one right up front. And it's from a guy named Matt W. And Matt texts me all the time. Actually, he doesn't text me. Um, he emails me, and this is his question this week. Dear Hondo, I email you every week. I've done it for over a year, and you never use my questions. What? Not man enough to use it? Matt W. That's the end paragraph of his email. And I want to address this because you need to understand something. I am a professional journalist. I'm not a fan. I am a person whose job is to take information, to assimilate it, to analyze it, and then to disseminate it back to you. I don't tell you what to think. I'm not going to insult you. You're not stupid. And you certainly don't need media members talking down to you. That is ridiculous. Without you, we don't have jobs. But Matt, here's the problem. Every one of your emails refers to coaches or players as dummies, fools, um, dumbasses, and you approach it like you want to be taken seriously. Now, I want to say something very quickly. I understand fan, the word fan comes from fanatic, and I get that. But years ago, my dad taught me you can be disagreeable. I mean, you can disagree without being disagreeable. If you don't like a way a coach is coaching or a player's playing, I could care less. Doesn't matter to me. I'm not God. I'm not going to try to tell you how you feel. I laugh at media members who try to tell people you're wrong. Well, how are they wrong if that's their opinion? You may not agree with them. You may think they're factually crazy, but they're not wrong. It's their opinion. But when you write me as a professional journalist and you want me to put you on our professional company page asking a question, when you're attacking the character or integrity of people who you know nothing about, okay, maybe they missed a tackle, maybe they made a bad coaching decision. You can be as critical as you want. I have no problem with that. No problem with it. And when we do Hondo hate, I don't have any problem if you attack me. But I'm not letting you go on there and attack other people. There's an old saying from the movie The Man from Snowy River, have another beer, expand your brain. If you can't sit down and write an opinion about somebody without attacking them personally, let me just say, let me use a few players for example, okay, and some coaches. I think that Josh McDaniels is a tremendous father and a great husband. I think he's got more Super Bowl rings than you will ever have. And I think he's made more money in his career coaching football than you'll make in your lifetime, probably in one season. I think whether or not he's a good head coach is still to be determined. But to call him the names that you've called him over the last year literally makes you look ignorant because he's got Super Bowl rings. Well, he won them with Belichick. Okay, he still won them. How many have you won? How much money have you made coaching? And so I don't know if Josh McDaniels is going to be a good head coach. I can't answer that. I have an opinion. I do think he's going to do well. I really like what he has done with the Raiders. Now, I'm the one who said, and remember, I'm the one that broke the story that the Raiders were talking to him and that he was going to take the job. I'm the one that broke the story that he took the job because of Derek Carr. I said when he was in Denver, it was terrible. He was a young coach who had a lot of success. He was raised by a man who, I'm from the Midwest, I'm from Michigan. His father is an iconic high school coach. Many people, myself included, believe if there was a Mount Rushmore of high school coaches around America, he'd be on it. So he was raised in the game. Then early in his career, I watched him coach at Michigan State. Early in his career, he goes and gets to coach for one of the best head coaches of all time, and Bill Belichick. He gets an opportunity in Denver, and his ego was bigger than the world. That's factual. And he did a terrible job in Denver. Now, because of how he treated people in Denver, they turned on him quick, and it was a disaster. It was horrible. But the Josh McDaniels that I know, who after that incident licked his wounds, after that incident went back and said, you know what? I don't need to be Belichick. I'm not. I'm Josh McDaniels. And so what did he do? He went and still worked for Bill, but became more like his dad. He cares about people. People matter to him. His players, you know, whether you want to believe it or not, I'm there every day. I talk to him on the record, which you're right. There's some players that aren't going to tell you the truth on the record. I talk to them off the record where they do tell the truth. They love him. More importantly, Matt Millen and I were talking about this on the sidelines at the LA Ram joint practices. They trust him. Okay. I don't know if he's going to be a good head coach. My opinion is I think he is, but I don't know. So I don't say definitively that I know. But I also don't have to attack him. I also don't have to trash him. And the man's a father and a husband. He's good in his community. He's your coach if you're a Raider fan. Now, I don't want to get into politics, but I do want to say this. Several years ago, when Barack Obama was elected president, there was a whole swath of our country. He's not my president. And then when Donald Trump was elected, he's not my president. Listen, whoever the president is, if you're an American, that's your president. You don't have to like him. You don't have to agree with him. They're still your president. If you're a Raider fan, Josh McDaniels is your coach. If you want to write me a letter and you want to be critical of him, I'll be glad to use it. I don't edit things. Oh, you got to be good or no. But I've questioned him. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you can't do things without making it personal, then you're the problem. Now, I realize this is going to get me a ton of hate. And you know what? That's fine. Because my job isn't to just do podcasts to make people like me. My job is to do podcasts that bring you the best information. I know of one particular player who was considering once playing and coming as a free agent to play for the Raiders. And the teams that the Raiders were bidding against to get him were showing him how a large segment, not a majority, of Raider fans just turn on their players. It makes no sense to me. You can be critical. I mean, Brian Hoyer is not just a friend of mine. He's a dear friend. I love his entire family, his brothers, his sister, his beautiful bride, his children, his mom and dad, him. But in the last game, Brian Hoyer did not play well. And I made that clear. I made it very clear. That doesn't bother Brian. He's a professional. But at the same time, I'm not going to say, this, and that and attack people's character. If somebody fumbles a football, can it be a huge mistake? Austin Hooper in the game against the Rams made two critical mistakes, a drop that he cannot make and an offensive pass interference in the red zone that was absurd. I said that. He's not dumb. He's not a loser. He's not a dummy. He's not a bad person. You have to be able to communicate in an adult world like an adult. Again, I'm not a cheerleader. You can say anything that you want, but don't make it personal. And if you're going to, that's fine. Put it on Twitter, put it on Facebook, do whatever you want on your channel. But I'm sorry, I work for a professional company. We do things in a professional way. And if you don't have the ability to communicate professionally and responsibly, then I'm not going to put it on there. I'm going to reward you. So there you go. There's your answer. Appreciate it. Now, a couple other emails that I didn't address in the article I want to address now. One that I thought was really good said, Hondo, I enjoyed the 53-man roster projection. I disagree with some things. Can you tell me how you came to your opinions? This is from Megan B. Yeah, Megan, I can very quickly. Those really weren't my opinions. It was a snapshot of where the organization was at the moment that I wrote it. And so I would anticipate there's going to be changes from that. In fact, I am pretty sure there's going to be at least one, maybe two or three, but there's going to be some changes. But yes, that's how I come about it. It isn't what Hondo thinks, because if it was what I thought, it would have looked different. We'll just leave it there. But it was me trying to give you the best information from inside the organization, as to what I knew, what was being thought of, and what the thought process was. I hope that makes sense to you. And then the last one, and again, I really encourage you, if you go to the community section, or just make sure you just read the article. The last email I want to read you comes to us from JT. Jeff T is his name. Jeff says to me, Hondo, now that camp is basically over, can you tell me what stood out to you the most? You've talked about so many things. What stood out the most? Well, camp is actually over today. Today's the last day of camp. This is Thursday, the 24th. This is the last day of camp. And I'm going to tell you a couple of things. You said one. I'll give you one. To me, it was the change of culture. Now, I have 2 long form articles coming before the season. I would anticipate, and this is purely a guess, maybe Wednesday next week, 6 days, and Monday. I don't know. I'm still working through it, but something like that. And in that long form article, one of them is going to be about introducing you to Josh McDaniels' secret weapon. The other is going to be really taking you through how Dave Ziegler built the culture of this team and what he did, where the seeds of it were planted last year, and a lot more. I really think it's going to be it's going to take you in on some conversations that were not public, that have not been made public until this article comes out. It is an article that, if you remember, I did some articles inside the draft. I did some articles about the divorce with Derek. I've done several of these long form articles, and it takes so much research, and you have to talk to so many people. They just take a lot of time, but I totally believe they're worth it. And I think Raider Nation is going to get a different view. I think it's really imperative that fans understand what goes in and takes to building a franchise. If you didn't see my videos I put up, I put one up with Josh Jacobs on Wednesday. Yesterday, I really encourage you to go watch that. I asked him about some process questions. This last week, are you spending more time on the team or maybe looking at players who are on the bubble? I asked him those type of questions. I really think you're going to like his answers. He was really good. In fact, I thought yesterday was one of Josh's best press conferences. I thought the questions from my colleagues were phenomenal. Good questions. 2 days ago, I put a video up of Michael Mayer, the tight end. At Notre Dame, he had 1 or 2 word plays. And now in a Josh McDaniels scheme, it can be, I'm counting my fingers here, it can be 13 or 14 words. And so I asked him about the adjustment to all the verbiage. and he was phenomenal. I just think there's been a lot of good press conferences. Later today, you're going to see Dave Ziegler and Champ Kelly are going to do one. I'll have those videos for you, but just a lot of really good stuff right now coming out. And the culture to me is the biggest. It's absolutely the biggest, and I'm really looking forward to it. Now, tomorrow's podcast is going to be what to look for in Dallas. And let me tell you, there's a lot to look for, a lot. So you may be saying, now I go to every game home and away, except the last preseason game. If it's away, I don't go because in the Josh system, there's going to be a lot of players that just aren't playing. And so I won't be at that one, but I go to all of them. Home and away, I'll be there. And bringing you instant analysis and all that. We'll still have an instant analysis podcast right after the game and a lot more. But we're going to have a ton of information. Don't forget our live threads. During every game, we have a live thread. So if you're at work, you can just click in. What's the score? How has each score happened? Any significant injuries, whatever. I really encourage you to make those part of your day and in your game experience. Sometimes if you're sitting in the stadium, there's things that you miss. Sometimes if you're at home watching on TV, there's things you miss, and we're right there in the middle of the action. So, and we're going to have colleagues there on site. So it's going to be a great event, going to be a great game, lots of stuff. We'll be talking about that tomorrow. But make sure you're checking out this article because I think it's important. I'm going to say this to you, this question and answer article got a lot of great questions. I want to say this to you. I have immense respect for Raider Nation. I think like St. Louis Cardinals baseball fans, like like Toronto Maple Leaf hockey fans. I think they're some of the smartest in the business, like Indiana Hoosier basketball fans. I think Raider Nation knows football. Okay. So you take a frustrated fan base that knows the game and sees a lot of mistakes made by the franchise over the years. And then the franchise selling them every year, just win, baby, and they don't. I understand the frustration. But there's an old saying, you know, you don't want to, kill your partners with friendly fire. This is your team. This is your guys. If you think they're all stupid, okay, then take a break from it, step away. But I just think there can be disagreement. There can be vehement. Don't like them. I remember covering a guy one time I didn't like, and I made it clear I don't like him as a player or a person. And I left it at that. Didn't have to attack him. It wasn't a Raider. It was somebody else I covered, but didn't have to go into all that. And I wanted to use your questions. I never edit your questions if it's ripping me or whatever. But I think it's important for you as a franchise and an organization. There's a lot of good happening around Raider Nation right now. And I know a lot of you are, I don't want to hear it anymore. I understand. I've only been covering them 4 years. I'm not a fan. So I understand why you're frustrated. I do get that. But there's a lot of good going on, and they're not playing regular season games now. So you can't, well, I don't want to hear anything till the regular season. Okay, then why are you watching and listening and commenting? But all I can report on now is preseason. And after Saturday, then we turn to the regular season. It's going to be a great season to watch. It's going to be full of ups and downs, lots of drama, lots of great information. And I appreciate that you give me the privilege each and every year to bring it to you. So remember, I'm Hondo Carpenter from Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation, Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast, part of the Fans First Sports Network. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hope you enjoyed today's question and answer article. We'll see you tomorrow.